will continually honor the treaties that have been signed as we consider our decisions and actions. This morning, there is a public meeting scheduled for 4 minor variance applications. I will briefly summarize the procedure to be used for today's meeting. First, the Secretary Treasurer will advise the committee as to when, how, and to whom notice of the applications have been distributed. Next, each of the applications will be considered separately. Planning staff will advise as to the purpose and effect of the applications and provide any information that is relevant. The Secretary Treasurer will summarize any correspondence on file, and from there, the applicant may make a brief presentation if they so choose. And the public will have an opportunity to speak to the applications being considered. Following the public forum, the committee will then deliberate on the proposed applications and consider a motion to either pass, defeat, or defer the decision of the applications. The minor variance applications being considered this morning are A22-11 for 111 Carson Way, A23-02 for 2 Island 3180, A23-03 for 129 Heath Valley Trail, and A2305 for 52 Bonneville Road. Before we begin, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. I have a resolution moved by Member Jarvis and seconded by Member Matthews. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves the minutes of April 14, 2023 as circulated. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. The motion is carried. I have a second resolution moved by Member Predko, seconded by Member Rivet. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment adopts the agenda dated May 12, 2023. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. The motion is carried. I would ask the Secretary Treasurer to provide us with any information on correspondence.
Notice of each of the applications was sent by first class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons within 120 meters, 500 meters, or 800 meters, and to those persons and agencies likely to have an interest in the application. The notices were sent at least 20 days prior to this morning's meeting. Included in each notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the application and a key map showing the location of the property. Other relevant information may have also been provided. These circulations were provided in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act 1990.
Thank you very much. Our first application this morning is A22-11 for 111 Carson Way. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, I'm just going to share my screen before I begin. To the Secretary Treasurer, do I have permissions? The purpose of this application is to facilitate the construction of an addition onto the detached dwelling by permitting a maximum lot coverage of 18.5%, whereas a maximum lot coverage of 10% is permitted. Proposed addition has a ground floor area of 43.45 square meters, and the subject property has approximately 22 meters of frontage on Carson Way and approximately 38 meters of frontage onto Little Go Home Bay within the Trent Severn Waterway. The property has an area of 1,566 square meters and is developed with a detached dwelling and accessory building. The lands are designated waterfront area within the district and township official plans and are zoned shoreline residential type 1, which permits a detached dwelling and accessory uses thereto. The subject property is located within an area with moderate to high archaeological potential, as identified on Schedule G of the district's official plan. And the shoreline contains fish habitat type 2 and is also located within 120 meters of fish habitat type 1, as shown on Appendix 8 of the township's official plan. No negative impacts to these features are anticipated. Staff are requiring 3% of the lot area located within 15 meters of the water's edge to be restored to a natural state. Staff are recommending approval because the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement and meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, do we have the applicant online? And if the applicant is connected, could you please identify yourself and your address? And if you have any further comments to what was presented by the planner, please go ahead. And just before that, Madam Secretary, has there been any correspondence on this application?
One letter of support was received from Clay and Marilyn Young.
Thank you. Very well. Go ahead, Mr. Kuros.
Hi, sorry, this is Danielle Bilodeau from Justin Sherry Design Studio. I'm the agent on behalf of the owners.
Okay, and do you have anything to add to the planner's comments?
Just a quick summary that we're requesting the variance for the lot coverage for the addition, and that the existing lot coverage is 15.7%. So our request of 18.5% is 3% more than what's currently there, but 8.5% more than what's allowed.
Okay. Is there any further comment?
No, I think that's good for now.
Okay, thank you. Madam Secretary, are there any members of the public online at this point?
No, no one else is registered.
Okay. Seeing that, I will close the public session of the application and bring the matter before the Committee of Adjustment for any questions or comments. And we will begin with Member Jarvis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really quickly, the 3% of the property that needs to be naturalized. What was the reasoning? I don't know that I saw the reasoning for that. I may have missed it, but what's the reasoning for that?
Through the chair, our zoning bylaw does require a natural state shoreline area for waterfront properties. Through a site visit, it was determined that the majority of the front yard is manicured lawn. So to help offset the increased lot coverage, we are requesting that they restore 3% of that front yard to a natural state.
And so do you acknowledge that there are gabions holding that front yard, that front grassy area in place? You are aware of that? All along the shoreline.
Sorry, I'm not understanding the question.
Gabion is a rock-filled cage. And so that's an artificial shoreline structure that was put in, probably it could have been the previous owner for all I know. But that is there. I presume it doesn't really bear on this too much. I'm just wondering if you're aware of it.
Through the chair, yes, that area that can remain as is. It's the more so the lawn that we're concerned with and restoring that with native vegetation.
Yeah, no, and I understand that. And I gather the owner is more than willing to do even more than that, which is great. And I have no problem with that. I was just wondering if you're aware of the Gabrians. And I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Jarvis. Member Rivet.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Just to take off from what Stephen said, there was a comment that the site and project area have been substantially disturbed. I don't understand that. Is that something that was pre-existing, is substantially disturbed? I've never seen that, so I'm just concerned that it's kind of there and it's disturbed beyond more than it should be, or what does that mean?
Through the chair, that comment was made in the report in regards to the archaeological potential on the site. We would not require an archaeological assessment where a site has already been developed to that state, because any archaeological remains, things like that, would have been found through the development of the site already.
Thank you. Anything further, Member Rivet? Member Predko, please.
I don't think I have any further questions at this time. I appreciate the renaturalization of the shoreline and to offset the increased lot coverage and noting that it is a small lot to start off with. And I think their addition is a discrete addition. So I don't have any other further questions.
Thank you. Member Matthews.
I have no further comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
I echo the other committee's comments on this, and I have no other further comments on this application.
Thank you for that. If there are no further questions or comments, I will read the resolution. It is moved by Member Schmidt, seconded by Member Matthews. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application A22-11 for the construction of an addition onto the existing detached dwelling and subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner provides a property tax certificate or a correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. B, that this decision applies only to the porch as indicated in Schedule A attached to and forming part of the decision. Any other variances that may appear in the schedule that are not listed in the written decision are not authorized. C, that the owner restores a minimum of 47 square meters of land within 15 meters of the water's edge to a natural state by planting native trees and or shrubs no later than July 1, 2024. For which the locations and species of natural vegetation are to be identified on a landscape plan prepared by the owner and provided to the township. And finally, that this decision expires 3 years from the date of decision if building permits have not been issued for the development. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried. Our next application is A23-02 for 2 Island 3180. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, the purpose of this application is to facilitate the construction of a new sunroom onto the existing detached dwelling by permitting an increased gross floor area of 254.3 square meters, whereas 200 square meters is currently permitted, and a reduced setback of 19.82 meters from the 177.4 contour, whereas 20 meters is permitted. The subject property has an area of 8 hectares with a frontage of approximately 660 meters and is located on an unsubdivided island in Georgian Bay. The lands are designated waterfront within the district and township official plans and are located within the Go Home Bay coastal waterfront community. The subject property is zoned Go Home Bay Shoreline Residential Island, which permits a detached dwelling and accessory uses thereto. Staff are recommending approval because the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement and meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, has there been any correspondence on this application?
One letter of no objection was received from the Madawaska Club of Go Home Bay.
Thank you. Is the applicant rather available online or have any comments for this application? No. Very well. I understand we have a representative online. Please go ahead.
Yes,
And
thank you.
please
so much.
identify yourself with your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Diana Fiore. I'm acting as agent for Let and Associates, located at 1 County Road 6 South in Tiny Township.
Very well. Do you have anything to add to the planner's comments?
Just to point out a couple of things. As noted, the application is recommended for approval by the planning department. The gross floor area is not looking to, impact any neighboring properties being on the very large island that it is. The proposed screened sunroom or screened area is actually to be located where you enter it from the existing cottage. So different from the sunroom that is currently existing, this one here is designed so that you have direct access to it, and it's located on the opposite side of the cottage. So just some reasoning behind why the applicant, or why the owner rather, is looking to add this. The proposed setback to the 177.4 is not too much less from the 20 meters. So agree that that's still keeping the general intent of the zoning bylaw. And I believe that's all that I have to input for that one. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the public that's online that would like to comment on this application?
Yes, Mr. Chair, my name is Peter Folds. I'm here on behalf of the Madawaska Club of Go Home Bay. We have submitted a letter just yesterday. I apologize for the lateness of it, but hopefully the committee has received a copy of it. The Madawaska Club has reviewed this application, and we've reviewed the documents submitted in support of the application, and we have no objection to it. I'm here in the event that there are any questions you have of me.
Thank you, Mr. Fold. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to address this application? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public portion of the meeting and bring the application before the committee for any questions or comments. And we'll begin with member Rivet. Thank you. Member Schmidt.
Learning from my past experiences that Peter has taught me, I understand what no objection means, and I have no objections either. It looks like a stunning property.
Thank you. Member Predko.
I have no objections either.
Member Jarvis.
Just curious to know if there was a site visit performed for this property.
Through the chair, there was no site visit performed for this property.
Thank you very much. That's it.
And member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm familiar with the property, and like my fellow members, I have no objections.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further questions or comments, I will read the resolution. Moved by member Jarvis, seconded by member Predko. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application A23-02 for the construction of a sunroom on the existing detached dwelling and subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from the Township Financial Service indicating that all property tax have been paid to date with respect to this property that is subject to this decision. Two, that this decision applies only to the sunroom as indicated on Schedule B and Schedule C attached to and forming part of this decision. Any other variances that may appear on the schedules that are not listed in the written decision are not authorized. And three, that this decision expires 3 years from the date of decision if building permits have not been issued for the development. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. The motion is carried. The application is approved.
Thank you so much.
Our next application is A23-03 or 129 Heath Valley Trail. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, the purpose of this application is to facilitate the construction of a porch onto the detached dwelling by permitting a maximum lot coverage of 12.95%, whereas a maximum lot coverage of 10% is permitted. The subject property is designated waterfront area within the district's official plan and waterfront within the township's official plan. The lands are zoned shoreline residential type 1 and are located on Little Lake within the Trent Severn Waterway. The subject property is irregular in shape with an area of 2,393 square meters, 33.46 meters of frontage onto Heath Valley Trail, and approximately 19 meters of frontage onto Little Lake. Fish habitat type 2 is present along the shoreline, and a wetland containing fish habitat type 1 is located within 120 meters of the subject property. The porch is over 30 meters from the fish habitat type 2. The wetland is separated by Heath Valley Trail and another property. Therefore, no negative impacts to the fish habitats are anticipated. A site visit was conducted on April 17th, revealing that the property has already been developed with a new detached dwelling and associated porch, which is subject to this application. Staff are requiring 3% of the lot area within 15 meters of the water's edge to be restored to a natural state. Staff are recommending approval because the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement and meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, has there been any correspondence in this application?
No correspondence was received.
Thank you. Is the applicant present or online, and would they wish to comment further on this application?
Yes, good morning, Chair, Committee, and staff. Lanny Dennis, Lanny D Planning, Box 254, Novar, Ontario, P0A1R0. I was retained by the DeConing Group to assist with the planning process. Certainly appreciate the efforts and assistance of staff bringing the application forward. Reviewed the report, listened to the presentation. I think that's a fair and accurate assessment of the proposal. And have no issues with respect to the conditions that have been recommended by staff. I also concur with staff that the application be approved as it meets the 4 tests of the minor variance. Just very quickly, from the merits of the proposal, basically, you know, the porch is 34 meters from the shoreline, which is in excess of the minimum 20 meter requirement. It's an open air deck, save and except for the roof. It's modest in size. It's low profile, all assisting in minimizing the visual impact along the shoreline. It's a fairly common structure found along most waterfront properties, and it allows the full recreational enjoyment of the property. Essentially, the porch is fairly well buffered from the property immediately to the south with some existing mature tree cover, and it's a fairly significant distance from the cottage to the north, all helping again minimize the visual impact on the neighborhood. There's also limited shoreline structures, again helping to minimize the visual impact. It generally reflects the character of the area. It complies with all other performance standards of the zone, save and except for the increase in lot coverage. No problem with respect to the additional planting, as there will be an overall net benefit on the property. And would respectfully request committee approve the application as there are no unacceptable adverse impacts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did we have any correspondence on this application? No correspondence. Okay, very well. Is there any member of the public who wishes to address the committee on this application? Okay, seeing no one in-house or online, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and bring the application before the Committee of Adjustment for any questions or concerns. And we'll begin with Member Schmidt.
Well, I appreciate the clarification. Did a site visit on the property and saw the covered porch in its current state. I'm trying to think of the adjective that was used to describe it. It's low profile and modest, but it's well done. It's set back significantly, and I would hope with the additional landscaping out the front to soften the view would be approved by me. No further comment.
Thank you, Member Schmidt. Member Predko.
Yeah, I would agree with those comments as well. I think the naturalization would go a long way towards remediating the overage and the height, as well as the square footage or the lot coverage.
Thank you. Member Jarvis.
Thank you. I'm curious, the cottage was already built when a site visit was first performed. Was this cottage built with a permit or was a permit required?
Through the chair, my understanding is that a stop work order was placed for the porch because it was found at that time that they have gone over the lot coverage.
The stop work order was put out for the porch itself, just the porch alone.
The porch alone.
Was there a permit issued for the cottage though?
I believe so. The applicant can speak towards the building permit being
Could the
applied for.
applicant indicate whether a permit was
It's my understanding that, yeah, it's my understanding that a permit was issued. And I think you're right. I think that it was just stop work order for the porch.
So we're not totally sure, we believe, but we're not totally sure that a permit was issued for the primary building here. I'm a little concerned for that information, though it doesn't pertain to the porch. I can't understand how we would be permitting a porch after it's been built when we're not sure there was a permit for the cottage in the first place. My comments only, but yes.
Through the chair, during a site visit, I did see a permit posted.
Okay, that helps me a lot. I missed it. Okay, thank you. My other question is, when I was there, I had the impression that based on grading that was being done in front of the porch towards the lake, that there might be further paving going on. Are we aware of anything further going on beyond the porch? I guess the owner can help with that, or Mr. Dennis might be able to help with that.
I'm not aware of any further hard surfacing of the property.
And then finally, for our planner, when paving is done, this paving going on in and around the garage area, which is right beside the porch, that is something we permit as well.
And who are you directing that to?
To our planner, I presume, yeah. Sorry.
Through the chair, if you're speaking about the paved area or area to be paved in front of the garage and
Yes.
in the rear
Yeah,
yard?
right beside the porch.
Right beside the porch.
Yeah, there's a.
So that's in the front yard facing the water?
It'd be the area in front of the garage facing the lake.
Through the chair,
Yeah, and I'm not sure if
unaware.
we understand what the question is.
Well, just would a permit normally be required? So out of curiosity, if you just mind my indulgence here, but, or if I could ask your indulgence, is a permit usually required for a paved area? That's, no, okay. Thank you.
Anything further, Member Jarvis? Thank you. Member Rivet.
I guess I don't have any concerns. I was just looking at the size of the foundation on that porch. Was the porch itself included in the original plan and they've covered it in and that's why they need variance? It's just a significant structure. The foundation is significant and the stone is significant. So I'm sure building department is looking into that, but I just want to know if it was part of the original structure because it seems very significant to come forward for a forgiveness application for something this size.
Through the chair, I'm unsure if plans were changed throughout their building permit process. Unfortunately, that's something I can't speak to. Perhaps the applicant can advise if plans were changed throughout their building permit process.
No, unfortunately, I can't answer that because I wasn't involved in the actual building permit submission. So you'd have to be involved like intimately with the plans and the drawings and all that sort of stuff to really sort of dig into what was actually submitted, what was applied for. But I don't have that information at my fingertips.
Okay, thank you. We're looking at the applicability and the desirability of the porch as it now remains. So is there anything else, Member Rivet?
No, sometimes I just like to know that this is coming forward as a forgiveness application as opposed to a new application, so we understand it. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree actually on both sides of the discussion here that I think there'll be some mitigation will be handy. I am personally disappointed that somehow such a large porch was missed in the application, or that's not really for today's discussion, but maybe just a point to building department or planning department, make sure that what is applied for is actually being built.
Okay.
And can I just address that to that end? This is a significant build, so just a question, how will the building department satisfy itself that this foundation meets code since it's already built? Is there going to be some deconstruction to check the footings or what?
Just for clarification,
Yeah.
that's an issue for the building department and not the committee of adjustment. So, if we approve the application, they'll still have to deal with the building department to make sure it meets whatever building codes involved. So
Thank you.
you're good with that? All right. Are there any other questions or concerns going forward? Okay. Seeing none, I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that I should say moved by Member Matthews and seconded by Member Schmidt. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application A23-03 for the construction of porch and subject to the following conditions. One is that the owner provides a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. B, that this decision applies only to the porch as indicated in Schedule A attached to and forming part of this decision. Any other variances that may appear in the schedules that are not listed in the written decision are not authorized. And C, that the owner restores a minimum of 72 square meters of land within 15 meters of the water's edge to a natural state by planting native trees and or shrubs no later than July 1, 2024, for which the locations and species of natural vegetation are to be identified on a landscape plan prepared by the owner and provided to the township. And finally, that this decision expires 3 years from the date of decision if building permits have not been issued for the development. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried. The application is approved. Our next application and final application for today's meeting is A23-05 for 52 Bonneville Road. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, the purpose of the application is to facilitate the construction of a two-story detached garage by permitting a maximum building height of 6.5 meters, whereas a maximum building height of 4.5 meters is permitted. There is a condition of approval which states that the loft, second floor of the detached garage, is to be used for storage purposes only and is not to be used for human habitation. The subject property is designated rural area within the district's official plan and rural fringe area within the township's official plan. The lands are zoned backlot residential and contain no natural constraints. A site visit was conducted on April 17th. The property is currently being developed with a detached dwelling, and the remainder of the property is heavily treed. Staff are recommending approval because the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement and meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Has there been any correspondence on this application, Madam Secretary?
14 letters of support were received from Tyler Smith, Laurie Spencer, Kathleen Lewis, Grace Leduc, Jerry Castanet, Jason Lawley, Adam and Dana Cole, Trevor Barron, Jillian Lawley, Brandon Posey, Steve Leduc, Liz Leduc, James Posey, Bobby Posey, and 1 letter of no objection was received from the Ministry of Transportation.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant present, and would they wish to address committee with further comments on this application?
Both the applicant and agent are present. I'm just bringing them over now.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Shane Gregory. I'm the agent for the owners at 52 Bonneville Drive. My address is 16 Church Street in Markham. We have read the staff report and worked closely with staff on this, and would like to be able to proceed with the future construction of this garage, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that committee might have.
Thank you very much. Would the applicant wish to address the committee as well?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, I am representing the applicant in this. I don't believe the applicant is on the meeting right now.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, thank you very much. Is there any member of the public present that would wish to address the committee on this application? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public session of the meeting and bring the application before the committee for any questions or comments. And we'll begin with Member Predko.
Thank you, Chair. So my main questions are around the 2 meter height is almost a 50% increase, and I realize in the overall scheme of things this is in the minor category of consideration. But we have pictures of what the garage looks like. I'm just curious how the design and appearance of the garage and the elevation and the height compares to the approved dwelling. And is this consistent design, or is it somewhat different?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I could share my screen and show the entire front elevation if you would like, if that would help.
That would be helpful to me. I don't know if, for the others.
Yes, I get the general sense from the committee that would be helpful. So if you're able to share the screen, that'd be great.
Yes, absolutely. 1 second. So are you able to see that front elevation there? So yes. This is the garage that we are proposing in keeping with the overall scale of the house. Again, this being we did have to go back and forth with staff because there is a connection of a portico here with the dwelling that originally through building permit application we thought was going to consider this as actually an attached garage. Therefore, we would have no height requirements whatsoever with it. But through the building department staff and planning department staff deemed it that it was going to be a detached dwelling, or sorry, detached structure, and that's why we need the extra height. But yes, in terms of architectural styling, this was what we had originally designed and brought forward to the building department.
Thank you. And okay, that answers that question. Thank you. I think going back to the planner and the description that in the current zoning for backlot residential, are there size restrictions or lot coverage restrictions, or are those fairly relaxed in that area?
Okay, if I could ask planning department to respond to that question, please.
Okay. I'd like to just move back one question, if you don't mind. The report was specifically set up to eliminate the part of the property and buildings which are all legal. The question of character, does it match? And for
We can hear you on there.
the question of matching materials and so on and so forth is not a planning department consideration. It is certainly for the owner and all the rest of it, which is again why we concentrate on what they need relief from and why we cut it off, or so you didn't see the remainder of the building, which then drives questions of, oh, is it too big overall now? Is it doesn't fit with the rest of the building? And from a planning perspective, we don't really care if the garage is stone, wood, brick, and the rest of it is made out of bamboo, thrush, whatever, in that regard. So we are careful when we begin to look at septic systems which have approvals and buildings which have approvals and things like that, to link them all together to see where we're at. And we understand where you want to come from, but that's also the job of the building department and the planning department. So that's, I guess you could say, the reason why you're only seeing a portion of the building, because the rest of it meets the bylaw. And I think to Councillor Predko online, or Committee Member Predko online, that's why you don't see the rest of it. The only thing that doesn't is the garage. So
and sorry, through you, Chair, my question really was sourced by the appearance that there was a connection from the garage through that piece of a portico to something else, and that's what I was curious about, how it fit together.
Okay, thank you. Are you clear with that then, Member Predko?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, anything further?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Member Rivet, please.
My question is in regard to the portico that attaches this garage. I know in the report it says it's not included in the square footage because the structure is separate and the portico that garage is not structurally tied to the main building, but that portico does provide it will add to the square footage if there's a roof over it and it can be closed in. I'm remembering a design just like this on 6 Mile Lake that caused such a controversy for the same thing. So I don't understand why that's not included in the square footage, the portico.
Okay, and are you addressing that question to
Planning? I guess I'm addressing it
to planning?
To planning. I just don't know if the square footage puts it over what's been authorized or not.
so the only thing this applicant needs is a height on a garage. That's it. No setbacks, no nothing else. We've done our work and the applicant's done their work and the building department's done their work in order to share the rest of it, which is why it's the only number on the application form.
So it's been considered that.
Building department, all the rest of it, do a review of all of the zoning before they issue the building permit. If they feel that it's over lot coverage or over missing a setback, as you know, they would send them back to the planning department. In this case, the only thing, as mentioned in the report, is the height on the garage.
Through you, Mr. Chair, would I be able to just add something to that comment, if that's all right?
Yes, please go ahead.
Just to that comment, we do have an approved building permit in this. The dwelling is already under construction. The approved building permit had all the exact same footprint as what we're showing here. So we haven't changed anything from what's already been approved and issued from the actual building department with respect to the footprint and square footage of the entire build. It is really just the actual height portion itself.
Excellent. Appreciate that. That does add clarity. Is there anything else, Member Rivet?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Member Jarvis, please.
I'm just qualification, and I'm curious. Obviously, you consider this a detached garage. So the portico does not qualify as something that attaches a building such as a garage to another building. It just doesn't. This is the planning department. There's no tie-in with that, correct? Obviously, I think I know my answer.
For us, the concept of attached is walls, a floor and a roof.
Okay,
Otherwise, if you build a trellis,
yep,
rain comes through, is it attached? No, our requirement is attached as in all four walls,
right.
so it doesn't need to be heated, it doesn't need windows, it doesn't need anything else, it just needs to look like it's, and that's why when we talk about attached garages, if you happen to build a long walkway kind of
Right.
thing with four walls, then we consider it to be attached.
Okay,
It's how we have to come to some understanding of what that.
Sure.
I mean,
okay. And one other comment is just with regards, I mean, it fits in nicely, despite the fact that that's not part of this conversation. It's a significant piece of addition to the property. It's got a second floor that they're designating as storage. If I had a building that was that nice, I wouldn't be using the second floor as storage. How do we? I'm concerned that that second floor will be used for something other than storage, just by virtue of the fact that it's a nice piece of the property. It's only a comment. I'm not expecting an answer on that.
Okay, thank you, Member Jarvis. Member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did have an opportunity to do a site visit, and I very much appreciate planning's explanation of the portico when attached and not attached. So I'm clear in my mind that this is fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Schmidt.
I too appreciate some of the education that I received here today. Thank you for that. And I think that from aesthetic standpoint, I think the garage requires that type of roof line to tie into the architecture of this property. And thanks again for the lessons.
Thank you. If there are no further questions or concerns, I will read the resolution. Moved by Member Matthews, seconded by Member Rivet. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application A 23-05 for the construction of a detached garage and subject to the following conditions. A, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence with Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. B, that this decision applies only to the detached garage as indicated in Schedule A attached to and forming part of this decision. Any other variances that may appear on the schedule that are not listed in the written decision are not authorized. And D, that the loft second floor of the detached garage is to be used for storage purposes only, and it's not to be used for human habitation as indicated on Schedule A attached to and forming part of this decision. And finally, that this decision expires 3 years from the date of decision if building permits have not been issued for the development. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have one final resolution moved by Member Schmidt, seconded by Member Jarvis. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment does now at 10:48 a.m. Adjourn the meeting until June 9th, 2023 at 10 a.m. or at the call of the chair. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.